nothing you have not heard before you will hear. I'm not only talking about from me, you have heard, especially those who come here. You have sat through so many teachings from many, many masters. I just wanted to share one verses because there has been some requests for me to, I don't know, do some teachings. I don't know whatever that means. I feel that there's obligations. There's something called obligations. Students are obliged to request teachings, and then that obligations give birth to teachers feeling obliged to give teachings. That's how karma works. Nevertheless, this is supposedly a very special place. Vajra Asana. Supposedly, if we do something here, something that's related to manam, like aspiration. This particular location is supposedly very potent. It will make the manam, the aspiration, very potent, much more than elsewhere. Some say this is because an evil king beheaded something like 2 million bodhisattvas in one go, something like many, many eons before. And the bodhisattvas all unanimously did aspirations. 1,000 of them aspired to become the teacher, and others volunteered to become patron, disciples, guardians, etc. So from then on, supposedly this location has become a special location for aspiration. But Buddhism always is full of, it's just completely full of one after another contradictions. There's a lot of paradoxes. You are very familiar with this. Sometimes they chant Heart Sutra, other times they make offerings of flowers, incense, and they are quite proud of doing this way, especially Nagarjuna and the followers. They always brag one thing, and really they brag this a lot. that because everything is illusory, because things do not exist inherently, therefore everything works. This is a big one. They love bragging about it. If even momentarily things stop being illusory, then everything will collapse. That's how the Madhyamikas think. Yes, so at times they talk about karma, the other times they talk about shunyata. Total paradoxy, total contradiction. So along that line, here under the Bodhi tree, what we have done, I'm sure that some of you are not really participating in this. But anyway, in the morning and the afternoon, we have been doing two sets of practices. One is sort of a confession and also accumulation of merit by rejoicing in the beginning, and then followed by Samanta Bhattra's prayer, Pranidhana Raja, Prabhusambuchi Vimanam. And Pranidhana Raja, as many of you know, is last chapter of the very, very big sutra called Avatamsaka Sutra. The Avatamsaka Sutra is quite unique, very fascinating. It's actually a really, really good example of what I've just said earlier, that everything is illusory, therefore everything works. Avatamsaka Sutra really demonstrates that, really describe this so well. Anyway, in order to qualify what is Mahayana Buddhism, everything, every aspect of Mahayana, be it whether we are talking about view, whether we are talking about meditation, whether we are talking about action, there are three things it has to have, there are three characters it has to have. Buddhists love talking about the definitions. Generally, Buddhists say there are 4 seals that makes 4 seals, or well, the Sharvakayana people may argue a little bit, saying 3 characters, which is also fine. But anyway, there are 3 things that really qualifies a path is a Mahayana path. And this is Yi Tongpani Lamtsama Mepa Debumamba Mepa. The ground is Shunyata. Path is characteristic less, and fruit, fruit or the result is beyond aspiration. So you can see already there's a contradiction. Result, the fruit cannot be aspired. There's just so many statements like this. Even by Shantadeva, that I'm sort of introducing under the Bodhi tree in the afternoon, he said, for the time being, path dwellers can keep one ignorance for the time being. For why? Because you don't want to suffer. You don't want to go through pain. You want to transcend pain. Therefore, you are allowed to have one ignorance. And that ignorance is thinking that there's an enlightenment. Such are the statements you will find in the Mahayana everywhere. So, in this sense, the aspiration, the highest aspiration, if you like, is really learn to really shrug off even an intention of aspiration. That is the highest aspiration. Nothing to gain. But that is a really, really difficult. It's not difficult because the fruit is so complicated. It's nothing to do with that. It's just because you are already accustomed, you and me, we are accustomed by ideas like working hard, gaining fruit, purpose of life, I don't know, stages, the end, the result. We have this. Every small action we take. I mean, it would be nice if tonight you do something totally purposeless. It would be nice, but you try. You cannot do it unless you have some really, important, like you have received, technique such as Madhyamika, Mahasandhi, Mahamudra. There are instructions how to do that. How to really, how to really not do anything for some specific purpose. But anyway, as I said, it would be nice. Even when you walk out of this, if you don't have a specific aim to go, like restaurant or bedroom or schedule, if you don't have like from tomorrow, there's no schedules. Can you think about it? Impossible. Life will not function. And then our capitalist people have made sure that you don't think like this. I was reading an Englishman, I think he's English, this English. I haven't been talking badly about English for a long time. But because, I'm face to face here, so it just comes out. Anyway, I think is he an English? Mark Fisher? He's English? Okay. Well, Mark Fisher said, people can imagine end of the world, but people cannot imagine end of capitalism. So there you go. In a capitalist world, we just don't know how to do something that has no purpose. I mean, what do you think? The act of going circumambulating there, actually, the epitome of that action should be, no purpose, just going round and round. And it's the best thing you can do, actually. But, because I can't tell somebody here, go to Bodhgaya and aimlessly go round and round there, people won't do it. But then, so what do we symbolically say? Things like, the stupa represents the Ushnisha of the Buddha. The Ushnisha of the Buddha is so, awesome and adoring, so that like a kid looking at an amazing, beautiful structure, you just completely mesmerize, and then you go round and round and round. So we say these things, but actually the act of circumambulating. One of the most important acts of circumambulating is really aimlessness. But I don't think you should share what I said to general audience here, because out of this context, if you take out of context, it sounds really strange. But actually, it should be like this. But anyway, this practice, you try. For 1 minute, do something that has no purpose. I don't think you can do it. So let's forget that now. Okay, maybe in the distant future, we may be able to do it. But for now, let's forget it. So then what do we have? Now we have the other extreme. And this is something doable, and this is something I suggest you to do. So even if you can't do whole Pranidhana Raja, there's one section, and it's so beautiful. And it has a story. The story goes something like this. The reason why Shakyamuni got the name Shakyamuni, and not just the name. When Shakyamuni was a bodhisattva, please, ChatGPT. I don't need to give you too many information. These days you can get it from ChatGPT. When he was a bodhisattva, Nangje Shenu, in Tibetan we call Nangje Shenu, illuminating, young, youthful, illuminating boy or something like that. When he was that, he saw another great Buddha called Shakyamuni to Pachimba. It's in the fortunate eon, by the way. And he was just so fascinated by this guy. And the Shakyamuni, our Shakyamuni, let's call it our Shakyamuni, the fourth Buddha, the Shakyamuni, he was a potter at that time, potter. And anyway, these scriptures are quite old, and some of the translations are a little different. So I'm going to use several translations together. Anyway, the potter boy, he was fascinated by this presence of the great Shakyamuni, and he offered some translation says the mud, what makes you, the pot, the clay, and then he had just five pieces of flour, and he offered the clay, and then he threw the 5 petals of flower towards Shakyamuni and said, I don't know what to aspire for in my life. I just want to be like you. Your body, I want to have your body, but this body, kaya, it means not just the body, the look, but a lot of other things. And how you speak, how you address to the people, and your retinue, and your longevity, and your expanse to your reach, and then your beauty and your majestic quality. I just want to be just that. And not only that, I just want to have your name also. I want to call like you. And many eons later, Shakyamuni becomes Shakyamuni. So that's in the stanzas. So those of you, I've already told you, best try to do nothing, no aspiration, but most probably you will fail. But still you should try. But since you can't really do that, beyond aspiration, I would suggest you to do this. I think I need to confirm this with a few lamas, but I think if I'm not wrong, my guru, Chabji Tingku Chenchen Rinpoche, I think he recited this Dijin Shibachi Uchinda Kordan Buddha Sedajin Shejusum Uchinda Tenda Kona Dosu George, I think about 1,000,000 times. I think this was one of his main thing, main practice. This, but you know, it kind of makes sense, isn't it? It makes the life easier. Okay, you can't do this. Both are easy, by the way. Can you see the point? One is so easy you can't do it. You understand? This one, well, I don't know what to aspire. I don't know how to even begin. I just want to be like you. So which one you want to do? Choose. I would suggest you to choose the second one. I just want to be like you. That's it. That's it. Go to dinner now. What is it? Otherwise, there's more, like English bashing seems to be coming slowly, What else? Any specific thing that you want to know?
People come to Bodhgaya and chow, so I myself have never been able to do more than 3. But I'm wondering if we were to start, where would we doing prostrations?
Oh, wherever, doesn't matter. All that. Doesn't matter. Whichever way, wherever. Even from your own room towards the stupa is fine.
So even if we don't make it to the film, try to follow religious instructions.
Yes.
Come to dedicate there.
Yes.
I'm experiencing outer auspicious causes conditions, but inner, of course, lots of turmoil and doubt, yet also guidance from initiating in many ways. And I'm wondering, perhaps it's all the karmic defilements I need to purify. Trying my best to do someone soon now and then. That's why the question about the chow also that I have.
Keep on doing it. Keep on doing it.
So daily, do we need to do something fixed, or is it okay to keep changing every day?
Keep change, I think, for you. I would suggest.
So no need to do one fixed practice other than taking refuge around bodhicitta and dedicating marriage.
No, not for now, for you. Okay. Yeah?
If all these things like circumambulation and offering kata, if they're all kind of meaningless, then with
No, they're meaningful. Go to the second one. Like flowers, offerings, these are just an expression, remember? The potter offered the clay and the flower, 5 petals, so beautiful. Although I have to say the scarf drives me nuts. Because most of the time you guys don't know what to do. You put it up, you put it down, you fold it, and then you wear it yourself. It's really... This is what happens when the culture gets degenerated. I think Tibetans got it from Indians and went to Tibet, And then, there used to be very, very, very less kada, almost non-existent. But now, thanks to Amazon, there's so many kada. So it's really, really tiring to put it on somebody's head. We don't know what. So those are not meaningless, I should say. Yeah, if you do it like that bodhisattva.
So my question is, with what mind or what should we do? What should our
Well, within this context, what I was saying, like that, exactly I don't know what to do. I just want to follow you. I want to be like you. Yeah, that's it. It's in the Pranidhana Raja. It is there. It's really, really easy. And it has everything. Because, it's a bit like this. The aimlessness, really nothing can go wrong. You understand? Because that's like, what do you call it? It's very safe because there's no aim. This one also, very little can go wrong because what you are aiming, the example, the model, the example you are using is the Tathagata. So you are saying, I don't know all these, details. I'm not going to bother about them. I just want to be like you, your name, your radiance, your quality, your speech, your mind, your everything, including your name. So I think it's good. Okay, go to dinner now.